Hello, Entreprenerds. Welcome back to another podcast.
We're a team of 4 that aim to educate, entertain, and inspire self-starting entrepreneurs on the topic of digital marketing.
So today we'll be talking about the effects of the Covid-19 pandemic on influencer marketing.
So first off, we hope you're all safe and not running wild at home. And if you're having a hard time, remember that this is temporary and we'll be back to normal soon.
We'll be speaking about social media influencers, and I'm sure most of you know what they are. So they're basically users that have established credibility in a specific industry, and they have access to a wide audience that they can persuade. So if executed correctly, influencer content can be made more authentic and convincing than one without, because it's almost like a recommendation from a friend. And this is because they're viewed as like ordinary people, and mainly because that's how they start out before they become famous and start to have a following.
So as a small business, you can use influencers to build overall awareness, develop a positive association, or even generate conversions like sales, website clicks. If you decide to implement this strategy, keep in mind that brand fit with your influencer is really important. And you also need to consider how you're going to measure these outcomes so you can determine if your spending is effective. You'll most likely be working with nano influencers, which is from 500 to 2,000 followers, or micro influencers from 2,000 to 50,000 followers, since they are the most affordable. But don't underestimate their follower count. These influencers are likely to have a much more personal connection with their followers, and you could get even better results than working with a bigger influencer.
So one example of entrepreneurs who have executed an extremely effective influencer marketing strategy are Nick Makovic and Alex Tomic, who are the founders of HiSmile. So I'm sure you guys have seen HiSmile popping up on all of your social media feeds with huge celebrities like Kendall and Kylie Jenner and Conor McGregor promoting the teeth whitening product. So how did two 20-something-year-old guys from the Gold Coast go from a tiny $20K investment business to a $15 million plus e-commerce powerhouse in the span of only 3 years?
That's a very good question, Rachel. Well, they were able to capture a huge share of market in a short period of time through an impressive digital marketing strategy. So they had a big focus on social media marketing. They really leveraged gathering intel from social media and even used it to identify their target market. So for the first 6 months of business, they experimented and churned out heaps of content for everyone from 15 to 35 years of age, and had the mentality that by promoting to a wider audience, they could find their niche and that exact demographic, which they identified as millennial women aged 15 to 24.
Oh yeah, so I did some research on that as well, and I found that early on, they already decided to use influencers as their main focus to put the majority of their $20,000 into influencer marketing. And first, they actually targeted like regional micro influencers that didn't really have that many followers, but they definitely had a strong influence on their market. And I think that definitely proves that bigger isn't necessarily better. And it also shows that, pursuing famous celebrities as influencers could be a viable strategy, and leveraging those micro influencers will definitely give you bang for your buck.
And something else to support your point, Naomi, is that Adweek has said that micro influencers are 6.7 times more effective in gaining engagement than larger influencers. So I think that's really interesting that you say that.
Wow, that's a really cool point. I think that through that, HiSmile was able to reach more potential customers and kind of like improve their awareness as well. So yeah, like before getting mega influencers on board, they kind of had to make sure that their value proposition was, perfect. They had to create a product that influencers would not only love, but products that they would be willing to buy themselves as well.
Yeah, and like what they did next was expand their global outreach to these global celebrities, and that's when things really blew up, right? Specifically for Kylie Jenner, they had like 6 long months of negotiations with Kylie and her team when they finally signed on to promote HiSmile. So we can definitely see how that helped the company become as established and demanded as it is today.
Yeah, so they've also leveraged content from celebrities posting on their own channels, like Conor McGregor.
I've seen that all over Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, it's crazy. So they're basically trying to attract like a new target market, which is millennial males, and that's definitely a testament to how effective the influencer marketing is, where they're able to reach out to even very niche and unique like targets as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting insight. So that was our little case study on HiSmile. If you want to read more, we have a full blog post on that, so you can check that out. And kind of combining all this content together, the COVID-19 is kind of affecting influencers and who they can work with right now. So do you think the economy of celebrity and influencer endorsement will survive the COVID-19 crisis, or will it recover or wane out post-crisis? What do you guys think?
That's a good question. I guess, like, in a sense, the economy will not just recover, but it might possibly do better, because it kind of weeds out the poor quality influencer marketing, which won't survive as well as the good quality influencers, which will ultimately come out on top.
Yeah, almost like a survival of the fittest kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But then I guess on the other hand, people kind of want to see real and authentic messages, and the engagement might be shifting away from showing off perfection to kind of like a new breed of real uncelebrated heroes. So these new heroes are changing the game in terms of grabbing attention and generating interest.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like, you know, there's a lot of content now surrounded by like the unsung heroes, like the nurses and the frontline workers who are pushing through this pandemic, while I think people are almost seeing like this luxurious, fancy influencer lifestyle as like, you know, that they're reconsidering that and seeing how there's like a different perspective in life now, I think.
Yeah, kind of like, I don't know if you guys have seen the video that Gal Gadot did with like a whole bunch of celebrities, and then people were kind of saying like, yes, I guess you think that you're doing your part in trying to make everyone feel happier because everyone's in such like a low mood, but then it's kind of ironic because they have like their fancy lives, like in like massive mansions and everything, but then there are people who are actually suffering, who, you know, have lost their jobs and don't have incomes anymore. So in a sense, there's that kind of paradox that people are struggling with.
Yeah, and it's like some of these influencers are making so much money, and these nurses and doctors, they're not even getting like half of that sometimes.
Just from stay-at-home content, which is funny.
Yeah. Taking advantage of it. Kind of related to a point we were just discussing, more people are watching content than ever before. I think throughout all of this, they're kind of forced to make more content, and I know some people are actually making better content than they were because there's nothing to do but produce content. So that could kind of make influencers develop a bigger audience because everyone's watching during this time.
That's definitely such a valid point, because I find myself just like on my phone scrolling through social media and just like getting kind of immersed in what influencers produce. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Overall, I don't think influencers and celebrities will go away because brands are kind of spending more money on them. I think that after the pandemic, there will be different types of content and different ways to show different lifestyles, a more candid and real version instead of being like perfect and curated.
Though that there are many downsides of influencer marketing that we've seen, you know, being not as authentic or not as relatable during these really tough times, it's still such a central pillar to the growth and competitive differentiation of the marketing industry, and can have very profound impacts on brands, shared beliefs, and of course the new trend driven by stay-at-home economy. So we can only hope that influencer marketing does get more progressive, more reflective, and produces more different types of content after the pandemic as well.
It's a good summary, Aileen.
That was a really good wrap up, Aileen. Thanks for that. So yeah, I think that's all from us today from our 5th podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to check out our case study on HiSmile, which is up on our blog, and all of our other posts about digital marketing tools and guides. We also have a forum up, so don't forget to contribute to that and all of our comments in the post. We really want to hear you guys. So yeah, hope you guys have a good day, and we'll see you in our next podcast. Bye, Entrepreneurs.
Bye.
Love you, nerds.